My name is Godswill Nwankwo, and I'm a candidate for the Nigerian Senate representing Abia South Senatorial District in the 2023 election. And that we are never immune from the ills of our communal existence. And if we decline to empathize and act against these ills in our communities, those ills can in future become our burden. So it is in consideration of this, and as a proud son of Ohankundoki in Okwa East local government area of Abia State, that I make the commitment as your next senator to fight the ills and implement redress that will bring sustainable prosperity to our communities. But we must all agree that democracy is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And as ill-conceived as the current 1999 Constitution is, our leaders in both the APC and PDP administrations and government have been reckless and maliciously neglectful as they continue to breach several key provisions of the social contract and constitution that binds us Nigerian citizens together. Now let us look at a few of the very many provisions that the APC and PDP have violated and are currently nefariously violating. Let's start with Section 39, subsection 1 of the Nigerian Constitution that states that every person shall be entitled to freedom of expression, including freedom to hold opinions and to receive and impact ideas and information without interference. Nigerians from the Southeast are frequently arrested and or killed by law enforcement and security agencies of the state just because this group of citizens choose to wear a type of clothing or fly a type of flag. My heart still hurts till today whenever I think of Operation Python Dance, where the blood-soaked land in Abia State is calling for justice after more than 200 unarmed, defenseless citizens were brutally massacred as they bled to death. Over the years, the government of APC and PDP have been brutally and mercilessly violating the rights of the southeastern people of Nigeria. For the decades of unhinged bloodletting against the southeastern people of Nigeria, both the APC and PDP government have been in flagrant violation of Sections 39, subsection 1 of the Nigerian Constitution. And it's time that every leader from the southeastern Nigeria stand up and condemn these wicked violations of the rights of freedom of expression that's enshrined in our Constitution. Now let's look at Section 14 of the Nigerian Constitution that states that the security and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of the government. The key words here are security and welfare. Security is the state of being free from danger or threat, while welfare is the financial support given to people in need. Both the APC and PDP administrations have been responsible for the non-payment of salaries and wages for government workers. It is criminal to extract value from workers and refuse to compensate them. This action is equivalent to slavery, which is forbidden by the provisions of Section 34, subsection 1b of the Nigerian Constitution. Now, with hundreds of Nigerians being kidnapped and killed every day, the government of APC and PDP have given up on the primary purpose of guaranteeing the security and welfare of Nigerians. The current flooding disaster could have been prevented by either the APC or PDP administration if they had constructed the equivalent Nigerian dam back in 1982, or if they have implemented proper drainage systems and shoreline protection. Now, it is obvious that the Cameroonian government cared more about the welfare of her people when they built their Largo Dam back in 1982. The tragedy of the current flooding, devastating 33 out of 36 states in Nigeria, is a huge indictment on both the APC and PDP administrations, and they are directly responsible for the death of more than 600 people and the trauma currently being experienced by more than 1.4 million people whose homes have been flooded. And for their gross neglect, both the APC and PDP administrations have continuously been in violation of Section 14 of the Nigerian Constitution. Now let's look at Section 40 of the Nigerian Constitution, which states that every person shall be entitled to assemble freely and associate with other persons. Now, we all bore witness on Tuesday, October 20, 2020, a date which will live in infamy. Youths gathered at the Lekki toll gate to peacefully demonstrate against the division of the police force that is constantly terrorizing the population. In response, the APC government brutally massacred more than 100 of these unarmed, defenseless citizens. And up till today, no one has been held accountable for the gruesome slaughter of innocent Nigerians, even as the families of these victims are torn apart with grief. By this action of brutal killings, the APC administration remains in direct violation of the provisions of Section 40 of the current Constitution. Now, let's take another example. Section 18, subsection 2A of the Nigerian Constitution, which states that the government shall strive to eradicate illiteracy, and to this end, government shall, as and when practicable, provide free, compulsory, and universal primary education, free secondary school education, and free university education. The crude oil heist, where more than $100 million worth of crude oil was stolen per day, was a criminal enterprise perpetrated by both the APC and PDP administration over the past 9 years. Now, this criminality deprived Nigerians, and especially Nigerian youths, from benefiting from the promise of a fully funded, free, world-class education as provisions by the current Nigerian Constitution. Now, by this act of malicious and selfish greed, both the APC and PDP administrations have continued to violate Section 18, subsection 2A of the Nigerian Constitution. I know we can go on and on and on and on with the breakdown of the various violations, but I decline to take up too much of your valuable time. But the message is clear. The APC and PDP administrations have flagrantly and continuously violated key provisions in the current Nigerian Constitution. This Constitution is a social contract whereby we, the Nigerian people, consent to the government exercising certain powers. Now, if the APC and PDP administrations and government no longer want to abide by the Constitution, they should let Nigerians know. Now, while we await their response, the million-dollar question is, what do we, the Nigerian people, do as these APC and PDP leaders continue to knowingly and maliciously depart from and violate the enshrined provisions of our dear Constitution, to which we hold sacred? We, the Nigerian people, must collectively agree as well-meaning Nigerians to condemn both the APC and PDP parties and their compadres in the strongest of terms. We must do this by voting them out of office in the 2023 election. With inflation at a 70-year high, a looming food scarcity, and a public health crisis from the flooding, the 2023 election must usher in a chapter of responsible governance in Nigeria. Now, let us run a quick test. How many voters watching this video have the contact information, either phone numbers or email address, of your senators or House of Rep members? Now, if you do not have their contact information, then they are not representing your interest, and they do not care if your home is currently flooded or not. Now, listen carefully. If you woke up this morning wondering why it is getting harder and harder to pay for that bag of rice, or you are blaming yourself for not being able to afford to buy diesel for your generator last night, well, I have news for you. It is not your fault. It is not your fault that the price of a bag of rice have quadrupled in the last 4 months, or that the price of fuel keeps doubling every time you drive up to the filling station. The current system in Nigeria have totally failed you. This is the same system that worked hard to block Nigerians from the benefits of trading crypto, instead of implementing policies that will grow the economy. This is the same system that also blocked Nigerians from earning an income from digital marketing on Twitter under the excuse of tagging them as Yahoo boys, instead of blocking the criminals stealing our $100 million worth of crude oil per day. So here is what we're going to do as Nigerians. My constituents will have my direct phone number and email address. And we are going to have an online portal and an office in every local government area where constituents will be welcome to file complaints or make requests. And by the provisions of Section 4 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the legislative powers are vested in the Senate, and subsection 2 grants Senate the power to make laws for the peace, order, and good government of the Federation. And as your senator, it is my solemn oath to utilize these powers in sponsoring bills that are focused on people-centered prosperity. And as your senator, I will lead the legislative fight to restructure the country, because we must carve out a new constitution and social contract that is equitable, just, and fair to all Nigerians. Now, this new constitution must move key items from the exclusive list to the concurrent list, including providing regional law enforcement structure and allowing the state and local authorities to control their commercial and industrial monopolies, along with their capital issues. As your senator, I will sponsor bills to unshackle our capital markets. This will ensure that the thousands of tomorrow's startups and going concerns in Nigeria like Flutterwave and Paystack can quickly raise capital within Nigeria, allowing the capital gains and dividend distributions to remain within the country and be reinvested in diverse sectors. The confidence in our securities market will be protected by requiring that entities and organizations that publicly placed their securities must publish quarterly and annual financial statements, including pro forma income and cash flow statements. And as your senator, I will also sponsor bills to require all government transactions in federal, state, and local governments, including payables and receivables, be implemented on an immutable blockchain infrastructure. This will drive accountability across all levels of government while curbing waste, corruption, and abuse. Now, as a long-term resident of Houston, Texas, and an oil and gas expert, I have been working hard in the past 15 years to bring oil and gas infrastructure projects to Abia State to no avail. This project will have driven more than $1 billion worth of direct investment, foreign direct investment to Abia State. The integrated oil and gas companies would include drilling rigs, building of refinery, construction of gas plants, and installation of pipelines all across the state. This will also create more than 100,000 good-paying jobs within the state. And as your senator, I will work with every government agency within my legislative powers to ensure that our oil and gas infrastructures in Abia State are up and running before the end of next year, 2023. By the way, every drop of crude oil and petroleum products from this project will also be accounted for. I will also sponsor bills that will ensure that we rebuild our road infrastructures so that our own area markets can take its rightful place as the commercial heartbeat of the African continent. I will also champion bills that will ensure that our higher institutions are provided the resources they need so that they can produce the next generation of innovators that will lead the world in the fourth industrial revolution. This funding effort must include the provision of financial assistance, bursaries, and scholarships for all our students in higher institutions. My name is Godswill Nwankwo. I'm a proud son of Nwankwo in Nwankwo East Local Government Area of Abia State. I currently serve as the president and CEO of an energy-focused private equity and project finance company in Houston, Texas. I possess 3 academic degrees, 1 bachelor's degree and 2 master's degrees. I have a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering with specialization in computational fluid dynamics from Rivers State University in Nigeria. I have a master's of science degree in computer science with specialization in cognitive artificial intelligence from Texas Southern University in Houston, Texas. And I also acquired a Master's of Business Administration degree in finance with specialization in private equity and investment from the University of Houston City Bauer College of Business in Houston, Texas. Now, for my continuous selfless service to society, I was awarded Congressional Commendation by the United States House of Representatives. I was also awarded a Certificate of Congressional Recognition by the United States House of Representatives for my tireless contribution to promoting multicultural collaborations, trade, and investments in the community. So you will have to go back to the time before I was born to establish the foundation of my passion for service and empathy towards others. This was during the brutal Nigerian Civil War, which lasted from July 1967 to January 1970. This genocidal war resulted in the massacre of more than 6 million Igbos, including 2/3 of the male population in my hometown of Ohankondoki. My father, who was back then a young Biafran soldier, risked his life repeatedly as he fought enemy soldiers and crossed enemy lines multiple times. He put his life on the line over and over again just to gather foods and supplies for the women and children at the Biafran refugee camp. This large number of people from the southeastern Nigeria staying at the refugee camp were dying every day from starvation and kwashiorkor. It was at this same refugee camp that my mother and my father met. Now, my mother was back then a young girl serving in the Red Cross that was also attached to the same refugee camp. Their mutual passion for serving others and empathy in this period of great turmoil brought them together, and they got married right after the Civil War. Now, when I was a kid, my mother, who was then a teacher, would gather all the children whose parents could not afford to pay tuition and school fees. And she would teach these children for free whenever she got home from her regular job as a teacher. And most of these children went on to various secondary schools and colleges and became valuable members of our community. Now, as for my father, he would always give away groceries and supplies to families whenever we drove to the village during the holidays, a practice which was an annual family tradition when I was growing up. Having lived these experiences growing up, I reached out to my elder sister back in 2000 after I got my first job as a young oilfield engineer. I told her I would be dedicating my first few paychecks to building a school so that those children whose parents could not afford to pay school fees could get a chance at learning and becoming prosperous in life, just like my mother taught us as kids. My sister was excited about this initiative, and I'm happy to say that students from this school have gone on to become engineers, doctors, and lawyers with successful careers. A few weeks ago, I spoke with a family member from my mother's side. He majored in mechanical engineering and graduated top of his class. He was a valedictorian. I shed a bit of tears when he told me that his mother and grandmother, both of whom I love so dearly, told him to study mechanical engineering so that he could be like Godswill. This individual did everything that was asked and required of him. He paid his dues and studied hard. He sacrificed personal comforts, studying with hurricane lamp at night, most times contending with 010 or 001, or going without in his meals, just to afford the never-ending handouts in thermodynamics, fluid mechanics, heat transfer, and so on and so forth. And despite all these sacrifices, the government has continuously deprived him of the opportunity to benefit from his sacrifices of blood, sweat, and tears. Now, outside Nigeria, this family member would have been a valuable contributor to the global community of engineering research and studies. But like so many Nigerians with similar stories and backgrounds, this country is ensuring that talents in Nigeria do not see the light of day, as these abilities are buried under the ashes of our decaying democracy. These are some of the issues that keep me up at night. And as Nigerians, we must collectively embrace Section 40, subsection 2A of the Nigerian Constitution, which states that sovereignty belongs to the people of Nigeria, from whom the government derives all of its powers and authority. It is time we take back our powers by coming out to vote in the 2023 election. Once again, my name is Godswill Nwankwo, and I'm a candidate for the Nigerian Senate representing Abia South Senatorial District in the 2023 election. And I'm asking for your vote. God bless Abia State. God bless Nigeria. And may God bless this United States of America for being that shining city upon a hill whose beacon light guides freedom-loving people everywhere. May God bless you. Thank you.